It's called The Bernie Sanders Show, and it's aimed at sparking a revolution. Senator Bernie Sanders unveiled a self-titled podcast on Friday to help citizens stay informed on what he's calling, quote, a political revolution. You can find Sanders talking science, voter suppression, and climate change. Some of his guests on the show so far have included Bill Nye and director of a film fracking, Josh Fox. 3 podcasts have been uploaded so far. You can find them all available on iTunes. Shortly after the Obamas announced a book deal, Joe Biden and his wife, Dr. Jill Biden, have announced a book deal of their own. Biden will write 2 books, while the former second lady will write 1. One of Biden's books will focus on the year 2015, which is the year his son Beau died and the year Biden decided not to run for president. Biden's memoir is currently untitled, and a release date has yet to be announced.
President Trump is under fire for his unusual approach to the press. Many journalists are criticizing the president for closing off access to the media. We're here with Dr. John Watson, a Journalism American University professor. He's here to speak with us about the role the press will play under a Trump administration. How are you today?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you so much for joining us.
No problem.
So what are some of the biggest challenges for reporters today under the Trump administration?
The biggest thing I think for the reporters is to maintain their cool. Many officials of the administration are obnoxious, they are provocative, and they have a tendency to pull journalists out of their professional roles by engaging them in what appears to be personal conflicts and arguments. So they really have to be the grown-up in the room at all times.
So we've seen around the world that journalists face hostile leaders all the time. Let's go ahead and take a look at a clip of Sean Spicer addressing a journalist regarding Russia.
I appreciate your agenda here, but the reality is, oh, no, hold on. No, at some point, report the facts. The facts are that every single person who has been briefed on this subject has come away with the same conclusion. Republican, Democrat, so I'm sorry that disgusts you.
So my question to you is do you think with this sort of treatment of journalists and humiliation, is that enough to create a chilling effect for reporters today?
It could, but it shouldn't. Journalists have to realize that they are professionals and that the way they behave in public really affects how the American people value or undervalue the information that's being brought to them. Information that comes from a volatile source who is not perceived as professional and engaged on providing unbiased information, it undervalues that. Journalists can't allow themselves to be drawn into a situation where they appear to be comedians or the straight man in a comedic interaction. So they are really going to have to be on their A game. They're going to have to reach way back to the basics of how to deal with uncooperative news subjects and stay focused.
Absolutely. And what role do you think that truth plays in journalism today for reporters under the Trump administration?
Okay, so more and more journalists are stating on camera, in print, that this is a lie, this is not true. But they must be careful that each time they say this is not true or this is a lie, that they provide evidence, very strong evidence, indicating or proving that what they claim is a lie or what they claim is an untruth is actually an untruth. Otherwise, they appear to be taking sides in an issue. And when it comes to truthfulness and falsity, there are no two sides, there's only one.
Right. And how is this administration affecting the kind of journalism, the kind of reporting that we're seeing?
Well, they are threatening it in the sense that they are actually requiring journalists to be their absolute best, and nobody is their absolute best every day. Everybody has a tendency to allow someone to pull their trigger and set them off.
Do you think that this might spark a new wave of investigative journalism, or where do you think investigative journalism is going now?
Well, I think the wave of investigative journalism has been re-sparked, and I think that's always a good thing. The only downside is that it takes a while to conduct an investigation, And very often, the public attention has moved on before the evidence of
Right.
the truth arrives on the scene. So it may be a lost opportunity. But journalists are just going to have to learn to find the evidence of the truth quicker, or learn to refocus the American public's attention on an issue they maybe dealt with a week or two earlier.
Right, and what might be the best way for journalists to really unearth those truths?
Well, each reporting episode has to be a team effort. There's one person up front and maybe a dozen behind the scenes tracking down information and tracking evidence and funneling it to the person up front.
So there always has to be a team effort.
Always.
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 Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Stay tuned. Stay tuned as we look at the recent airstrikes in the Syria conflict coming up.